The sun hung heavy in the Texas sky, casting long shadows across the dusty streets of a small town that seemed wedged in time. As I leaned against the counter of the diner, the smell of frying bacon and sweet pie mingled in the air, yet all I could taste was the bitter sting of humiliation. I had taken a fall off my bike, my pride practically lying in the gravel, just outside the diner door. I picked at my slice of pie, pretending it could somehow sweeten the flavor of my embarrassment. Suddenly, the door swung open with a dramatic creak. A group of bikers strolled in, their laughter booming like thunder, slapping the stillness of the diner. I could feel their gaze, and I knew they were soaking in the sight of me nursing my wounds, literally and figuratively. "Look at that guy," one of them jeered, a burly man with a bushy beard. "What's he doing? Practicing to fall?" I bit my lip, the sting of their mockery stealing my appetite. Just then, my phone buzzed in my pocket, pulling my attention away from their raucous laughter. Who would be texting me at a time like this? I pulled it out, and my heart skipped at the sight of an image message. I tapped to open it, and there it was, my old motorcycle, the one I had lost years ago, parked like a ghost in front of the diner. My pulse raced like a runaway engine. "Hey, you all right?" a waitress asked, glancing at me with concern, noticing the color draining from my face. "Yeah," I whispered, unable to tear my eyes away from the screen. Then, a thought hit me. Was it possible the bikers knew something? I glanced over my shoulder at them, their laughter still echoing, yet now it felt like an invitation to confront them. Could they hold the key to my motorcycle's return? The diner became a stage, my future rolling in like a tumbleweed caught in my whirlwind of thoughts. "This isn't over," I muttered to myself, pushing away from the counter. Just as I was about to approach the bikers, I felt a thrill course through me. I was about to dive into a world of unexpected alliances and secret betrayals, and who knew what else would roll into my life. Before we continue with this thrilling twist, a quick alert for you who follow our stories. YouTube has been removing subscriptions lately, so check if you're still subscribed and give us a thumbs up to support the channel. Now, back to the wild chase ahead. I took a deep breath, feeling the weight of my limp as I stepped towards the bikers. Each of their boisterous guffaws seemed to challenge me, daring me to engage. As I approached their table, my heart thundered in my chest, the embarrassment of my earlier fall mixing with a renewed sense of purpose. "Hey, I couldn't help but notice you guys seem to find my little mishap pretty amusing," I said, forcing a grin that didn't quite reach my eyes. Their laughter died down, replaced by a tense silence. I could feel their curiosity shifting towards me, like a predator sizing up its prey. The burly, bearded man leaned back in his chair, arms crossed, eyeing me. "Who are you? The fall guy?" he shot back, but there was an edge to his voice, as if my admission might tether him to something unknown. "I was wondering if you know anything about this," I replied, pulling out my phone and showing them the picture of my motorcycle. Their expressions transformed from amusement to intrigue, a flicker of recognition passing between them. "Where did you get that?" another biker asked, a wiry guy with tattoos spiraling up his arms. Suddenly, what had been a light-hearted jab turned into an unexpected camaraderie. "You used to ride, huh? Heard whispers about that bike." Whispers? I felt the thrill of the chase igniting inside me. "What do you know?" The laughter faded, replaced by the weighty silence as they exchanged looks, a silent conversation filled with intrigue. "It's a long story," the burly leader said, leaning closer. "One that could either land you in trouble or lead you to some unexpected friends." And just like that, the world outside the diner faded away. It wasn't just about my bike anymore, it was a chance to uncover secrets buried deep within the dusty roads of this small town. "I'm all ears," I said, leaning in. Whatever they had to say could be the missing piece I needed to unlock the mystery. I could feel it in my bones. But before they spoke, a horn blared outside, startling us. My gaze darted to the window, the unmistakable rumble of bikes approaching. "Looks like we've got company," smiled the wiry biker, leaning back with a mischievous glint in his eyes. "Shall we?" My heart raced yet again. Who was rolling in now? And how would they fit into the tangled web of my past? Every moment felt pivotal, and I couldn't shake the sense that destiny was about to throw me another curveball. This was far from over. More secrets, more revelations awaited just around the corner. As I turned my gaze to the window, my heart thrummed like a revving engine. The unmistakable roar of motorcycles filled the air, and I felt a mixture of anticipation and anxiety. The bikers around me shifted their attention to the commotion outside. The tension in the diner was palpable, like the moment before a storm. A lineup of sleek machines rolled into view, chrome glinting under the Texas sun, and my breath caught as I recognized the lead rider. It was a woman, her long hair cascading like a dark waterfall beneath her helmet. Something about her, maybe it was the fierce confidence in her posture or the way she commanded the road, seemed to draw all eyes to her. "That's Ella," the wiry biker said quietly, his tone suddenly serious. "You don't want to mess with her." Curiosity bubbled within me. Ella? Did she have a connection to my bike? Was she somehow entwined in my past? As she parked and dismounted with a flourish, I felt an inexplicable pull, like gravity urging me towards her. Her crew joined her, forming a tight circle as they dismounted. The sound of laughter returned, but it was different this time. It was charged with excitement and camaraderie. "Anyone want to join the party?" She called out, a challenge lacing her tone. I could feel my pulse quickening as I exchanged glances with the bikers at my table. They appeared wary, even slightly intimidated, and a wildfire of exhilaration ignited within me. This could be it. "Hey, where's that guy that wiped out earlier?" Ella called, looking straight at me now, a smirk playing on her lips. "I heard he's got a flair for falling." The laughter erupted again, but this time I felt the spark of something brewing. A challenge I might just be ready to accept. "Maybe he's got a flair for finding lost things too," the burly bearded leader interjected, nodding towards me with a knowing grin. Everyone turned to me, and the air buzzed with unspoken possibilities. Suddenly, I found my voice. "I'm looking for my bike. Any chance you know where it is?" "Nope." My question cut through the banter, and for a heartbeat, silence hung heavy in the air. Ella's eyebrows shot up in surprise, and I knew I had their attention. No longer just the object of derision, I could feel the change. The thrill of the chase had transformed me. "You mean the one that's been rolling around town?" she asked, a hint of mischief in her voice. Just then, a clatter rang from the door, drawing all eyes again. Another man, slightly older, stumbled in, his face flushed and frantic. "Ella, you won't believe what just happened." As he caught his breath amidst the eager crowd, I knew I was standing on the edge of something monumental, something that could change the course of my night. What had he seen? And more importantly, would it lead me to truths I wasn't prepared to confront? The layers of this tale were unraveling before my eyes, and the ride had only just begun. The group erupted into questions, their laughter drowning out the clamor of the diner. But all I could focus on was the man who had just arrived. The energy shifted as the urgency on his face caught everyone's attention. "The cops are all over the back roads. They're looking for something big." Ella stepped forward, her demeanor sharp and commanding. "What exactly?" He glanced around the room, his eyes darting as if he couldn't decide where to direct his fear. I overheard them talking about a stolen bike ring. They think they got a tip on where it's being kept, something about an old warehouse a few miles out of town. I thought you'd want to know. My heart raced. It felt like every beat was carrying me closer to finding my motorcycle. The laughter faded to hushed whispers, and suddenly, all eyes turned to me. "Your bike could be involved in that, you know," the burly, bearded man mused, his voice a low growl. "They could have found it, or worse, made a deal with the guys who stole it." I swallowed hard, the gravity of the situation sinking in. My bike wasn't just some mechanical object. It was a piece of my history, a connection to a time I'd tried to forget. The thought that it could have been caught up in something so twisted sent a chill through me. "We have to go check it out," I found myself saying before I could think twice. Ella shot me a surprised look, likely gauging my resolve. "You sure you want to dive into that mess? It could be dangerous." Dangerous? Or exactly what I need to find my bike and face whatever ghosts I've been running from, I replied, adrenaline coursing through me. The room fell silent. I could sense the weight of my words hanging in the air. "What do you think, guys?" Ella turned to her crew. "Do we check this out? Could be worth our time if we're trailing someone on the other side of that operation." The bikers exchanged glances, their expressions shifting from skepticism to intrigue. The wiry one shrugged. "Could be a wild ride, and I don't mind a little chaos." "Count me in," announced the burly man, a smirk returning to his face. "Let's see what kind of trouble we can stir up." With the decision made, I felt a spark of hope igniting inside me. We were gathered in this dusty diner, but shortly we'd be tearing down the Texas backroads, searching for answers. As I led the way out, my limp seemed a little less painful, buoyed by the thrill of newfound camaraderie. Ella took the lead on her bike, her confidence radiating as we rolled out onto the open road. The late afternoon sun bathed everything in a golden hue, and the wind whipped through my hair, invigorating my spirit. We formed a convoy, the rumble of engines accompanying us as we cruised down the winding roads. The landscape around us shifted from the small town into an expansive countryside dotted with mesquite trees and fields of wildflowers dancing in the breeze. It felt surreal, like we were in a movie, racing towards the climax of a story that had been waiting to unfold for years. The mood passed between us effortlessly. Shared glances and nods replaced words. I stole quick glances at Ella, intrigued by her commanding presence. She maneuvered her bike expertly, an embodiment of freedom and rebellion. I couldn't help but admire her. Something in her radiance sparked a familiar longing I hadn't felt in a long time. We reached the warehouse tucked away amid a thicket of trees. It loomed ominously in the fading light, with rusty corrugated iron and cracked cement walls, a place that had clearly seen better days. I glanced around, a knot of anxiety forming in my stomach. "Stay sharp," Ella murmured as we dismounted. The air was thick with tension, every sound amplified in the stillness. We crept around the perimeter, hearts thrumming as we sought any signs of life within. Broken glass crunched beneath our feet. "The stories I've heard about this place," the wiry biker muttered, eyes darting. "Stories of deals gone wrong and guys who disappeared without a trace." Everything around me felt charged with anticipation. This was the brink of something huge, and yet uncertainty nipped at the edges of my resolve. I had come seeking answers, but I never imagined I would be walking into a den of shadows. As we approached a back entrance, Ella motioned for silence. Her intuition was palpable, and I could feel the collective breath of the group holding back. The air felt electric, and a flicker of headlights illuminated the far side of the building. "Looks like we're not the only ones here," I whispered. The word danger echoed in my mind, but was drowned out by something deeper, the instinct to uncover the truth that had haunted me for years. "What do we do?" I asked, leaning closer to Ella. "Take a look," she replied, her eyes narrowing with focus. "Let's find out what's going on. Stay alert. We can't afford to get caught off guard." As we prepared to step further into the unknown, I realized this was the moment I had been waiting for. It wasn't just about my bike anymore. It was the chance to face the past that had lingered like a shadow behind me. But as we edged closer to uncovering the truth, an unsettling thought gripped me. What if I wasn't ready for what lay ahead? What if uncovering the past brought more than I bargained for? Just as we made the decision to push inside, the unmistakable roar of a motorcycle thundered from behind us, slicing through the night. I turned, a spark of recognition igniting my pulse. The man I hadn't expected to see was back. The shadows were deepening, and suddenly I found my heart racing once more. What did this figure want? And how would they alter the course of this night? The chase was far from over, and the thrilling fabric of destiny was weaving rapidly around me, pulling me deeper into a story I was desperate to finish. As the door creaked slowly open, I felt the thrill of the unknown calling me forward. Answers lay just beyond, but one question lingered in my mind. It was clear. This ride was just getting started. What awaited on the other side would turn everything I thought I knew on its head and ignite a spark, forcing me into an unveiling I never expected. Would I find my bike or unravel a far more complex story that was waiting to be told? I stepped into the shadows, ready for whatever came next. The shadows inside the warehouse swallowed us as we moved cautiously, the air thick with tension. Ella led the way, her demeanor fiercely focused, ready to confront whatever lay ahead. My heart hammered in my chest, a pulsating reminder that I was stepping into uncharted territory, into the heart of my past, and perhaps towards redemption. As we ventured deeper, the echoes of our footfalls bounced off the cold concrete walls. The dim light barely illuminated our path, but the sharp glint from a distant object caught my eye. Could it be? I felt an urgency, a flicker of hope igniting my resolve. "Wait," I whispered, halting our advance. Ella, sensing my sudden halt, turned to me, curiosity mingled with concern. "What is it?" I pointed toward the source of the glimmer, a piece of metal half buried under debris. My breath caught as I drew closer, my heart racing. As the light from Ella's flashlight danced over it, the unmistakable shape emerged. "It's my bike part!" I exclaimed, adrenaline surging through my veins. The realization erupted among us. This might be it. The wiry biker urged, excitement blooming. No sooner had I spoken those words than a loud crash echoed from the far end of the warehouse, followed by muffled voices. We exchanged anxious glances, instinctively shifting into a tighter formation. The group had clearly picked up on the intensity in the air. We were no longer just searching for a lost machine. We were staring down an uncertain confrontation. "Ella, we should go," I suggested, my earlier bravado beginning to wane. "Not yet," she insisted, her grip on the flashlight steady. "If your bike parts are here, there has to be more. We need to see what's behind those voices." With that, we slipped into the further shadows, careful to remain unseen. As we approached a doorway marked by flickering light, the voices grew louder, gruff exchanges laced with anger. My lungs tightened as the fear of being caught swept over me. But the thought of my bike being so close pushed me beyond the edge of hesitation. We crept closer to the doorway, glancing inside. The sight was jarring. A group of men huddled around several motorcycles, some in a heated discussion. Their tattoos and leather jackets bore the marks of a biker gang, ominous and unwelcoming. But then, my gaze caught on something. A familiar silhouette. My motorcycle, exactly as I remembered it. It stood there, but not unscathed. It was covered in grime and rust, waiting for a face to restore its glory. I felt my breath hitch. "That's it! It's really here!" I gasped, my heart soaring with hope. "Focus," Ella reminded, her whisper full of urgency. "We need to get in and out before they notice us." But as we watched, a sudden figure emerged from the shadows of the group, the older man who had burst into the diner earlier. He seemed to command their attention, gesturing emphatically with a wild look in his eyes. "They found him!" he shouted, voice trembling. "The cops are onto us. We need to move now or risk losing everything." It sent a sharp jolt through me. Agents of chaos were at play, but there, among them, was my chance. My bike was lost in a world of crime and treachery. I glanced at Ella, silently seeking validation. We had to act fast. In that moment, everything coalesced. The years of longing, the twisted path of ridicule, the relentless hunt for answers. My bike wasn't just a vessel. It symbolized my past, my journey, and the man I was determined to become. "Let's grab it," I whispered fiercely. Ella gave a curt nod of agreement, eyes fierce with determination. As we turned to spring into action, the air crackled with potential, but every heartbeat reverberated with danger. Just as we stepped into the light, ready to confront the gang, the door behind us swung open, and an unexpected silhouette blocked our exit. "Not so fast," she said, her voice cool and steady. Recognizing the woman, I felt a mix of dread and hope. With Ella and my crew behind me, I needed to muster everything inside me. "No one leaves until I get what I want," she threatened, stepping forward with a knowing grin. I knew we were on the brink. Freedom or chaos awaited. "Listen," I said, trying to keep my composure. "That bike belongs to me. I won't let it stay with thieves." The gang turned menacingly toward us, but Ella stood ready alongside me. With our resolve stiffening, the thrill surged through us like gasoline igniting a spark. "Let's settle this," she shouted over the rising tensions, steeling herself as the room buzzed with anticipation. In that heartbeat, I felt the tides changing. Life was unpredictable, yet deeply invigorating. This was the climax of the chase, the thrill of the unknown. I had come for my bike, but I would walk away with so much more. As we prepared for what lay ahead, I couldn't help but smile. This was where I was meant to be, finally taking control of my narrative. If you're enjoying this wild ride and you want to see how it all unfolds, make sure to stick around. There's more to come, and you won't want to miss what happens when two worlds collide. And while you're here, hit that subscribe button. Be part of this journey as we pause for the thrill and promise of adventure on the road ahead.